This is entire history of how British came to India. A small group of traders arriving on wooden ships. No army, no empire, just business. Now imagine that, 200 years later, those same traders control one of the biggest and richest civilizations on Earth. How did that happen? Today I'll tell you, in clear, simple words, how the British came to India and how trade quietly turned into total control. This is not just history, it's a lesson about power. Let's begin with a simple truth. The British did not come to India to rule. They came to buy and sell. In the late 1500s and early 1600s, Europe was desperate for Indian goods. Spices, silk, cotton, indigo, and precious stones. India was already rich. India already had powerful kingdoms. India already had global trade. So in the year 1600, a private company was formed in England. It was called the British East India Company. Think of it like this. Not a government, not a country, a company, a business with ships. In 1608, the first British ship arrived on the western coast of India. No flags of empire, no conquest, only one goal: let us trade. At that time, India was ruled mainly by the Mughal Empire. The Mughals were strong, they were wealthy, they were not afraid of a small foreign company. So the British did something very smart. They asked politely. They requested permission to build small trading posts, called factories, places to store goods, meet buyers, load ships. The Mughal emperors agreed. Why? Because the British looked harmless. This is important. The door to India was not broken open, it was opened. Here is the first big turning point. The British East India Company was not alone. Other Europeans were also trading in India. The Portuguese, the Dutch, and the French. But the British had one special advantage. They were very good at two things: money and long-term planning. While others focused only on profit, the British slowly focused on influence. They made friends with local rulers. They paid officials. They learned local politics. It was like a guest who studies the entire house while pretending to admire the furniture. Now let me tell you the moment that changed everything. The year was 1757. In Bengal, in one of the richest regions in India, a young ruler called Siraj-ud-Dowlah was in power. The British had grown too bold. They were building forts. They were avoiding local taxes. The ruler was angry, so conflict began. This led to a famous battle called the Battle of Plassey. But here is the shocking truth. It was not a fair battle. The British commander, Robert Clive, secretly bribed key generals in the ruler's army. So when the fighting started, many soldiers simply stood still. Their own leader was betrayed. And just like that, with a very small force, the British won. Not because they were stronger, but because they were smarter and more manipulative. This single battle turned a trading company into a political power. From this moment, everything changed. The British company stopped acting like guests. They started acting like rulers. They controlled Bengal's money. They controlled tax collection. They controlled appointments of local leaders. Imagine hiring a security guard for your house. And one day you realize he now owns the keys, the doors, and the land. That is what happened to India. But how did a company rule such a huge place? Here is their real strategy. They used Indian systems to control Indians. They kept local kings, but weakened them. They kept local soldiers, but commanded them. They kept Indian administrators, but supervised them. They did not replace the structure, they captured it. This made their rule cheap, fast, and difficult to challenge. Another secret to their success was division. India at that time was not one united political country. There were many kingdoms, many rivalries, many old conflicts. The British became experts at something called divide and rule. If two rulers were fighting, the British supported both sides, quietly. If one became strong, they backed his enemy. They did not conquer India in one war. They absorbed India piece by piece, like water entering cracks in a wall. Over the next 100 years, the company expanded across the subcontinent. By the early 1800s, the British East India Company controlled most of India. And remember, this was still not officially British government rule. It was corporate rule, a private company commanding an army larger than many European countries. But power built on profit has limits. In 1857, Indian soldiers working for the company, called sepoys, rebelled. This uprising is often called the Indian Rebellion of 1857. It was massive. It shocked Britain. It exposed how dangerous it was for a company to rule millions of people. After the rebellion was crushed, Britain made a huge decision. They removed the company. And in 1858, the British government officially took direct control of India. This is when the British Raj truly began. So when people ask, how did the British come to India? The honest answer is simple. They did not come as conquerors. They came as customers. They did not arrive with crowns. They arrived with contracts. And slowly, quietly, trade became control. Business became politics. Politics became empire. Here is the real lesson. The British did not defeat India only with guns. They defeated India with timing, alliances, money, and internal division. History is not always written by the strongest army. Sometimes it is written by the smartest negotiator. And one final thought for you. If a company could rule an entire civilization in the past, what does power look like today? Think about that. If you found this story useful, share it with someone who loves real history, not just dates and names. And tell me in the comments, what part of this story surprised you the most?